Okay, folks, what we have here is this Vectrex Arcade System. This is a vintage portable arcade system. Super cool because it uses the, I forget what it's called, basically the vector graphics, where it's not scanning the screen, it draws the vectors, kind of like the old original asteroids at the arcade. These are super rare, super sought after, super cool. The problem is that they have a fatal flaw in that the audio has this super annoying buzz to it you can hear there. And it's just a fundamental flaw in the design of the system, and it's honestly really difficult to fix. You really need to sort of re-architect the grounding of the whole audio system. And there are some patches I've seen online that are just, yeah, they probably work, but I was looking for a more simple, quick, easy solution. And so what I ended up doing was just basically disconnecting the audio amplifier, which is on the power board of this system, from the audio generator IC, which is on the main board. If you guys have opened this up, there's a brown jumper cable that goes from the audio of the main board to the amplifier that's on the power board, and again, that's what causes all the ground loops. What I decided to do and experimented with was just basically disconnecting that and making a line out. And so I made a line out on, just patched that in, and I'll show you the schematic for that in a little bit, and just drilled a hole in the side of the machine. And I'll kind of show you so you can hear that buzz now. And when I plug this in, the buzz completely goes away. And then I run through this passive amplifier. The buzz is not as strong, but it's certainly, there's a little bit of buzz there, but it's far less annoying. And you can use any computer speaker with a 3.5mm jack and really improve the gaming experience on this. I'm trying to do this one-handed here. And so buzz doesn't go completely away, but it definitely improves by quite a bit. So let me show you the schematic on this. Let me turn this down. So what you see here is this cable here is is half the cable that goes up to the amplifier and the speaker system that's on the power board inside the box. This cable, which I've got illustrated here, is basically the other half of that brown plug-in cable that comes from the volume control on the main board, the digital board, and that's fed by the audio IC. So what they did on this is that main board doesn't have a ground connection at all. They basically tried to isolate the ground from the main board to the other board because that's grounded in other places, and they probably did that for EMC reasons. But what it does is there's enough of a dissimilar ground between the two boards that there's just an incredible amount of buzz that comes through on that system. It's just a really bad design, and unfortunately very difficult to solve. So what I had to do is I got one of these 3.5mm jacks that has a little switch in the back. And the reason I chose to do it that way is because what I wanted to happen is when I was using the 3.5mm jack, I wanted to short out the input to that amplifier so that it just didn't sit there and buzz while it wasn't being used. So I take the ground wire and bring it over to the jack inside of the switch, the far side of the jack inside of the switch, the throw, and then the input goes to the center side, the pole of that jack in side of the switch. And so when the jack is in, these sliders move over, and that basically shorts that input out so that there's no sound going to that speaker. The output from the potentiometer, I bring over to, well, I bring it over to the jack, but I also bring it over to the jack outside of the switch, the throw of the jack outside of the switch, so that when the jack is out, this is connected and the audio goes through the switch and into the amplifier. So when the jack is out, the speaker plays and it has all the normal noise and all the garbage, but it plays like a stock Vectrex should. When the jack is in, this is slid over, the switch is slid over, that amplifier is shorted, and when the jack is in, we have audio coming through to, what I did is, I didn't actually show it here, is I also put a wire here so that both left and right receive the signal. So left and right contacts on that 3.5mm jack receive the signal from the volume control on the Vectrex. Now, the only thing that was a little tricky is that because this jack on the mainboard side of that connection actually isn't grounded, because they lifted it to try and kill one of the ground loops, I have to find another ground to bring over to this. I didn't want to use this ground because that just basically adds all the noise that's there. I wanted to use a ground off the main board. And so if you look at the schematic, which is widely available online, there is a star connection for the power supply coming into that main board, and there's a couple capacitors for the plus and minus volts DC that go to the audio chip, and there's a capacitor there. And so I pulled a wire, just tapped it onto the bottom of the board, and connected it to the ground side of those two capacitors that are part of the decoupling for the audio chip, C212, and I just brought another wire over to that jack and patched it in. So the way that works is when the jack is out, just like that, you get all of the normal Vectrex noise. Even when the volume is down, it's really super annoying. So even when the volume is down, you still have all that noise. And it's basically, the audio is coming out like it should. It's going into this switch. The switch is in the out position. And so the audio amplifier is getting the normal sound like it would, just like stock. When I plug in the jack, that switch is slid over. The amplifier and speaker then are shorted to ground so that there's no audio going through that amplifier. And the audio comes out of that volume control into both the left and right of that 3.5mm and is grounded then to the main board power supply. And it's not perfect, but it's quite a bit better. I have to turn the volume up. The volume control still works, but it's quite a bit quieter, a lot easier to use. There's my little amplifier, but like I said, any computer PC speakers will work, and it works wonderfully. All right, so again, there's that schematic one more time. This is the kind of jack I used. It's a switching 3.5mm jack, and I have it sandwiched over here on this side. It sandwiches perfectly between the board, the power supply board, and the side of the case with just some sticky tape. And so it's sandwiched in there, so it's really solid and really firm. It won't come out. And it's pretty discreet, you know, looks stock, nothing unusual. Just works a lot better. All right, that is what I did for this Vectrex. Enjoy. I hope that makes some of your lives a little easier, and can get some more enjoyment out of your Vectrex without all that annoying noise. Oh, by the way, I should say one more thing. There isn't enough juice out of that jack to drive headphones. passive headphones, your headphones will be really super quiet. But if you used amplified headphones like some ANC headphones or a headphone amplifier, then it'll work perfectly. So that is not a headphone jack, it is a line out jack for sure.